Hi guys, haven't done a video in like a long time. I hope everyone's doing great. It is a nice low weekend for me here, which is quite rare because these days I'm so busy. Um, as you can tell. And this is sharing of a junk journal. I did this for someone who's really close to my heart, and I hope he likes it. So and I think junk journal is a bit new to him, so I left most of the inserts relatively blank. A few simple tuck spots and a lot of space for writing. And the theme that he was going for was um, sort of like a spell book of sorts, but also incorporating some elements of like clocks, which he really likes. I think his relationship with time is an interesting one, and so he really does like the element of like clocks and stuff. So kind of remind him of like how time is part of his history. And I even have like some charms on the side, and my classic sort of design for them on binder clips, just so that when the book opens up, you can flick it up and then this up, and you can actually write with the spine flat onto the table, so it doesn't become too clunky. And so you can see like a little bit like clock phases, happy wings, and blah blah blah. This is actually an old book, which I took out the spine and I made my own spine with a blue tan leather instead of the spine that it came with, because the spine that it came with is just too thin, which is not enough for what I'm doing. And what is really cool though is the cover of the books were really quite stayed quite well, and so that made it very much easier for me to even put corners on the book. So even though they were a little bit like dog-eared, sorry, but it wasn't that bad. At the front, I basically did an altering with some laser cut pieces and a metal embellishment, and basically this whole thing was done using the Finnebar's Patina Effect paints, and these are so cool. I'm not sure whether the camera's gonna pick up every single detail, but look at this. This is really cool. So it really does mimic that sort of like a rusty paint sort of look. I also have like a really nice soft thin canvas bag which I sold for him, because he was really worried that this the beads and stuff and all the parts like here are gonna like fall off if I was gonna put it into his bag. So this is like a cover for him to put the book in, so this is ready for writing. He can take it out. So here we go. Very simple. Once again, you see lots of white spaces for writing, and for places in which there is a lot of print on it, the idea really isn't to write on it, but to like stick on or staple on ephemeras like movie tickets, reminders, or anything special like a card that like a colleague gave you or something. And what is really cool was the way that I did the design. There were some elements I wanted to keep in place, so there's a lot of a little bit sprinkled here and there, anatomical pictures of like human body parts, so they kind of look like spell book-ish. And the other thing that he was really going for was a more kind of like a fantasy sort of slant as well. So I took some of these papers that were filled with a kind of like a medieval sort of font, and that really plays into the fantasy sort of element of it as well. So I'm gonna pick it up and see whether or not the camera's gonna pick that up. Look at that, it is really cool. So a lot of these papers are from GD Designs or from Paper in Paris, and I also did a lot of like my own coffee stain paper, and I also coffee stained a lot of my envelopes, my paper bags and stuff. And so as places where there are tuck spots, there are tuck spots. Here I did a little bit of sewing, and I did here and there in the book some sewing, not a lot because I'm still starting out, and I'm using my Happy Stitch from We Are Memory Keepers. It is a brilliant product because I've been trying to do sewing with my sewing machine and hasn't been successful, but with the new VR product is much better, even though the needle does snap a little bit more frequently than my other one. So I think that the needle is like not really but I guess it's kind of like a plus minus, because I think the problem with like a traditional sewing machine is that the tension is of the cloth can stretch, where paper doesn't, so my paper gets torn a lot when I do sewing there. And at the same time, it's really hard to do the adjustments on a sewing machine because you kind of have to kind of like do like a lot of like play by ear and kind of figure it out. But I think for the machine, this is much simpler. It is very basic machine for the VR, and it works with both paper and fabric. So and you can use different sort of twine, like metal twines and stuff, as long as it kind of can fit um, on the thickness that the machine is built for. A lot of mediums can kind of work much better with this as well, so it's a little bit more durable. That said, I think the needles that they provide is a little bit more brittle, so whenever I'm doing like something of a like slightly harder material, the needle itself actually does break, but it isn't too bad. I think you can just replace the needles quite easily. Unlike when it's like an actual machine, I think the needles are a little bit more durable and bendy, but they have the problem of like totally just tearing through your papers. So anyway, I ramble on. Here are some of like the places where you can see a lot of spaces for photos and journaling, and as long as like there are places in which you don't think you can write on, it's probably the place in which you can stuck something on instead. A lot of little places of tag spots, little tags. You can write little secret messages to yourself or like secret minute reminders. And what is really fun though is the way I picked out the elements. Like once again, you have a medieval theme, and this medieval theme sort of like look. And so you have like a different places for tuck spots and places for writing and stuff like that. A lot of little envelopes, tuck spots. When there's a paper clip, you can clip something onto it, and there's probably something already on it. So I'm gonna flip through relatively fast so I can go to the places in which there are some interesting features. A torn envelope, so you can definitely put stuff inside. And a lot of this dyeing, those are done I did myself, but some of them are done by G Design. So I think she's really good at retaining some of the like coffee stain patterns. Flip out, which is kind of fun. Tuck spot, envelope, another place for stuffing things in. Do a lot of tuck spots again. So this is a very extensive sort of book. With a lot of like fun little places for writing and stuff. Really nice. And yeah, nothing too much in there. There is a page in which I have a kind of like a transparency sheet. So I already have some printed clocks on it. So what is kind of fun is that you can like slot like a photo right behind it, and it will show through like the plastic. Back spot, and as long as a paper clip, you can clip on like postcards like this and whatnot. And let's see, so there's a great all-seeing eye here. So this is like a more bare sort of a look. It is definitely altered to a certain extent, but it isn't like overfilled with ephemeras and elements. And so we have a lot of this masculine medieval sort of look, which goes with the more fantasy theme, and places for tuck spots and stuff. So here you can see that I use some my straight stitch, and here you can actually just put like a photo behind, or you can write around it. You can do whatever you want. But this is kind of like fun. And here is cloth. So this is from the Tim Holtz Elements cloth print that he had like a year back, and basically these are places in which I sewed the cloth to the paper, and it creates kind of like a really nice tuck area. And this is probably the place in which you have like nice little like things you want to pin up instead, or like do a safety clip pin on. You can actually definitely do it onto the cloth, which is kind of nice. So I did like an example here, which I took like a sort of like a brooch pin, in which I did it through the cloth. Did a little bit of sewing, so places for tuck spots behind here as well. As long as a blank space, you can write. So writing space, fun space you can write or stick a photo on, probably for like keeping for other elements and stuff you can stick down. And I think this is pretty much it. When I go to the last part, I did tuck in some additional note cards and stuff that one can write on onto some like dyed envelope, and so you can put in even additional stuff that you can use for the book. And the book is held closed shut by this band, and you can fit the band inside, and it's kind of expandable, so I can imagine like with more photos and more stuff you'll probably need to skip past the third one, which is currently on, and you may have to do like the second or first one for the belt. And yep, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave some comments below, alright, and subscribe if you can, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye!